Hey everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the LEN podcast. This will be a weekly podcast comprising of all the LEN content creators to talk about all things football and world-related topics. At this point, I will introduce all the contributors. Myself, Josh from Crossbar Capers. We have Terence also from WirelessVLOGS, Dan from Garfield V2, and Ben from Corner Flag Games. Say hello, guys.
Hello, guys.
How are we, fellas?
G'day, everyone.
Very good, guys. Glad to be here.
Have you said hello? Like, you sort of did, I guess.
I just sort of did. Yeah. You can run that one more time if you want.
Welcome to
That's
YouTube.
fine. That's fine, mate. Your daughter's now YouTube famous as well.
Oh, what you say?
And I'm sure
Right,
we've said this. I'm sure we've said this multiple times, and we'll just disclaimer it again. Three of us here are parents and do have our own children. So if you hear them in the background, then just fucking deal with it. And Terence is just creeping, sitting in a car.
Fire park, as I do, mate, as I do.
All right, who's got the first topic? Who's got the opening topic for the first podcast?
All right, boys, I'll jump in.
All right.
Now, I want to get this straight off the bat. So, the UCL final was our time this morning. For Dan, it was prime time for you. I want to get your thoughts on that game, boys.
Well, if you ever want to see goalkeeper howlers, watch that final. And if you want to see a spectacular goal as well, that's also in there.
Well, yes, what a goal that was. But I find it funny. Have you boys been on Twitter lately? The Liverpool are famous for the tagline, "You'll never walk alone." But on Twitter, funnily enough, everyone has taken to the keeper and saying they wish he would die.
I have seen
find
that.
that quite funny.
No, I have seen that this morning on Twitter. I thought it was quite disgusting, to be fair.
So he'll never walk again.
If they had
Never walk alone, but
the whole point of "you'll never walk alone" to me has always been a concept of it doesn't matter whether you fuck up; they all walk together. Hence the term "you'll never walk alone."
Yeah, but you got to remember we're football fans, and football fans as a general. Well, I think you're allowed to moan. If it's your team, you're allowed to moan. If you've paid for your tickets, you're allowed to have a moan. You should support them. And I think for the most part, it sounded like the Liverpool fans were supporting the team until that final whistle.
Yeah.
And I think then they've got every right to moan. Every right. Because whether it's nerves or what, I don't know what it was, but Jesus wept like Christ on a bike. Yeah, okay. The first one was just hilarious, like absolutely hilarious. From a neutral standpoint, it was absolutely hilarious. But as far as the they wish he would die, blah blah blah. We've been there, we've done that. From an English standpoint, look at David Beckham in the '98 World Cup.
Correct.
Getting sent off, and then suddenly people were hanging up fucking like voodoo shit of him hanging from fucking pubs and stuff. Like that one player cost us that World Cup. He got sent off. It was a stupid thing. But I think that's just as sad as it is. I think it's just become a natural reaction to just modern day football.
Yeah, I'd go so far as to say as well, and I've always been a big advocate of Lauren Karius. I do believe he has had moments of brilliance, not so much in his Liverpool days, but earlier on in his Cologne days. Was a class keeper, and I still think he is to a certain extent. And I think that putting Karius in goal last night was the lesser of two evils, because we all know how much I hate Simon Mignolet.
yeah.
I don't think he's a keeper's arsehole, to be fair. But Josh, being the Liverpool supporter of the bunch, your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought I'd just sit back and let you guys have your fucking say. And thanks, Terence, for making this the first topic. It's just what I needed. Not 24 hours after it happened. So look, where do you start? Where do you start? Do you blame the keeper, or not? Look, as Ben was saying, you never walk alone is exactly what it is. Henderson made that perfectly clear in the press conference after the game, where you win as one and you lose as one. It's that simple. So, not one person got them to that final, and you can't blame the one person for losing that final because, they possibly couldn't. The last game when we played Roma, we almost fucked that up, and we were 4 goals up after the first game. So, who do you blame there for conceding those 4 goals? It wasn't Karius' fault there. Most certainly not. The defence was terrible.
Yep, and as I've always said, the goalkeeper is only as good as the defenders that are in front of him.
100%.
Exactly
and
right,
look, I think it makes it perfectly clear that we do need a keeper of a lot higher caliber.
I'd agree with that.
Nothing against Karius or Mignolet, 2 very good keepers in their own right, but not championship quality. When you're playing championship football, you need the best, and unfortunately, Real Madrid have that in spades, and they proved it easily tonight. Friggin' why they are the best. Bale especially single-handedly shut up every doubter that he's leaving at the end of the season.
Correct.
All talks. He's not going to play. They're going to sell him. He come back from massive injuries. He played. I think he started once in the Champions League in Hull.
He did.
So for him to come on for 30 minutes as much as I hate Zinedine Zidane, for him to go, right, he only needs 30 minutes, and I know for that 30 minutes I'll get the best out of my player. And for him to come on and score what I would say is probably the best goal of the Champions League this year.
Smart management to put that down too.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't think it tops Ronaldo's bicycle 4 years ago. I think it was now. I still think that was better because I find Bale was dead on goal. He was straight. Ronaldo was on the angle.
Still doesn't beat Riley with Grease Scorpion.
Well, yeah, 100%. I think if you put that to Bale or whoever and said, do you reckon this goal's better, and showed him the goal, I'd still reckon they would say, no, that goal trumps it. That's impressive.
Yeah.
So, yeah, look, a lot of people would say that we lost the game in the first 30 minutes when Salah left. Once Salah went off, the heads dropped a bit, etc., which I have been hearing, which is total rubbish. I
don't know if I was watching the same game or not, but from what I saw, Liverpool were with the very little possession they had early on, they were still having a right crack. Their wingers, not their wingers, their right back and their left back in Robertson and in Alexander Arnold looked very threatening early on.
Yeah, look, it's not a it's not Liverpool of old. I will say,
not at all.
Where if Gerrard wasn't playing, Gerrard wasn't playing, the players just wouldn't stand up to the game. Hang on, guys. What was I going to say? Bloody, is where now you take one player off, it doesn't change the game. You know what I mean? They knew what the job was before they walked out.
Yep.
And it was to friggin' press high tempo football, be right on Real Madrid's hammer. And I believe they did that for almost 90 minutes, other than the goals. So, look, it's it's raw. It hurt. I think me and about 100 mates sat there for about good 10 minutes after the whistle sounded and just tried to come to terms with what had happened, who to blame, if to blame anybody. and just sort of let it sink in that, it didn't happen again. But, we're used to that. We haven't won a Premier League in friggin' 28 years, 30 years almost.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for that, mate. And 2005, it was a miracle. And I think everyone had belief. Even when it went to 3-1, I thought, mate, don't count us out. We were 3-0 down in 2005.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep.
back.
I've got two questions to pose. Sort of elephants in the room. The first question, and I'd like to get everybody's thoughts on this too. The first question is, well, sort of the bigger elephant in the room, and that's youngster Trent Alexander-Arnold at 19 years of age starting in a Champions League final, and his run up to what he's becoming as a player over the past, say, 6-7 months in that Liverpool side, establishing himself. And the second elephant in the room being finally nice to see James Milner back in the midfield again.
Yeah, look, I'll start with it. So hang on a minute. I've pretty much got, it's so fucking hard. It's hard to do fucking this shit.
That's all right. I know. We've disclaimed it already. It's all good.
Yeah, I know. What was I going to say? Bloody Milner's fantastic. And for the bloke who's getting as old as he is, he can play anywhere though. It doesn't matter where he plays. Midfield, up front, fullback. Fuck, he could have played goalkeeper tonight. Fucking made it safe as he goes.
Might have been a better option.
Well, yeah, 100%. So, look, Milner in the whole, it was good to see him back. You're playing in the midfield, playing along Henderson, and so forth. But yeah, by all means, bloody, who were we talking about? Friggin'
Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Trent Alexander-Arnold, mate. Yeah, the stats prove it for himself. Just look at the English squad. You know what I mean?
Yep.
He's made that squad in 8 months. I don't think there's too many. Dan, you're probably the best one, or friggin' yourself, Ben, I suppose, to try and quote me on that. But I don't think there's be too many players out there in 8 months of football have made a World Cup squad.
Nope. There's people who have tried their entire lives.
Yeah, and that's it. Your David Beckhams and your Michael Owens and your friggin' Fowlers and all that sort of shit. Yeah, they've been playing for a while. I don't believe they were 19.
And to knock out somebody of the caliber of Nathaniel Klein for that position.
Yeah. Again, I suppose it's the joys of playing at the top level, isn't it? You get injured, it makes it hard to get back into your position, and that's what happened. Klein went out injured, and it was always going to be hard. You've got Lallana, who came on tonight and friggin' done his job and had played friggin' 75 minutes of football all season.
Yep.
So, to be voted England's best player at the Euros, and then now virtually not play any minute of first team football all season, and then to come on in the Champions League and just sort of hold his job. Didn't do anything special, but again, you wouldn't expect him to. And that's it. You've done his job and so forth. So, yeah, to answer your question, mate, it'll be sad to see him when he leaves because we don't hold good talent. So,
all right,
to interject and have my view on this, right? I'll quickly touch on Milner very quickly because he's always been the sort of player that's gone unrecognised. We had a brief chat last night about unrecognised players, and he's always been that player, but he's always maintained a very high standard of football. He should still be able to do it, and he can still do it. So, you know what? Kudos to him. A player of that sort of quality doesn't come around very often, but he is going to be a forgotten man in sort of like 15 years' time. Now, as for youth, I would say that is something that most, if not all, teams are lacking. And it doesn't matter what country, youth is very important and they should be given a chance. Otherwise, they end up just becoming nobodies and playing the lower tiers of the league. You only have to look at sort of like the under-20s. I can speak probably more knowledgeably about, the England one. They do so well. Every time there's a big tournament, they always get to the semis or the final. This is, all these lads that are like 21 and under. They never make it to the first, the main team. They never do. Youth players, like I look at, as a Derby fan, I look at, say, at club level. So you look at the youth system that most teams have got in place. I think they have to now at a certain level. They have to have some youth set up. And you look at the players and you think, why aren't they given a chance? So to see a 19-year-old lad get his chance and get his start in the Champions League final is fantastic. That's the way it should be going. You got all these older players that are clinging on to glory and clinging on to past accomplishments. Maybe they had one really good season, and it's like, well, now what are your credentials? Because you play shit for the last 3 seasons. Why are you still in the fucking team? When there's these 19-year-olds, and I get some of it's about fear. You don't want to ruin their career by them getting a career-threatening injury or anything like that. But you know what? You've got to take your knocks.
Yeah, you're gonna take your good with your bad.
Oh yeah, but it all comes down to youth should be given every opportunity they can to experience that first team football. That's why our loans are good. But then you get a young player out on loan, and he performs well at his loan club. The parent club, most of the time, they call him back because they've had a good bit. They play him in 2 games in, say, the Premier League or La Liga or whatever in the top league. They have a bit of a hard time of it. Off you go. We don't want you. You're not up to it. Correct. Just because of like 2 bad games. And it should never be like that.
Yeah, they're very quick to cash in. Terence, are you still with us, mate?
I am. I'm still here, boys. I was just about to say we might wrap that up as a topic, just to keep it moving. Did anyone have another point just quickly on that, or do we want to move on?
No, we'd like to hear your thoughts, mate. Very quickly.
Yeah, my thoughts. I think Dan touched on what I would have said about Milner. He didn't have... I haven't watched the full game, obviously, because I was asleep when it was on, as you boys know. So I've only seen a few highlights and things. I thought Milner didn't have his best game. He looked all right, but as Dan was saying, he's one of those players that sort of... It's not so much that he's underrated, but he's not someone people are going to remember years down the track.
Well, yeah, not the mainstream masses anyway.
No, not in the same vein that, your Ronaldos and your Messis will be remembered. Whereas for Alexander-Arnold, I thought it was a brave decision to have such a raw talent starting in a Champions League final. I thought it was a brave decision. I think it's probably fair to say it's passed off as it's been a good decision for the club to play him. It would have been obviously nerve-wracking and all that for him, but to give someone so young who is talented enough to be there the chance to start in a game like that is only going to come back in absolute spades for the club later down the line. Say in another few years, if they ever make it back to that point, which if they keep playing the football they've been playing, they may well do next year. It's only going to be better for his development and his growth going forward that he's had games like that where he started and he's been given a responsibility to push set players with experience out of the lineup. Makes it even more of a brave decision to start him. But I think, as Josh said, he's in pretty much 8 months, he has broken into the World Cup squad. He's done amazingly well, and he's definitely one to watch for the future.
Most definitely.
And I also, just to quickly add on to it, I think he handled that pressure tremendously well.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
100%.
For a young man. It would have been very easy to buckle.
Mm-hmm. All right, lads. So we've been going on this topic for a good, say, 20-odd minutes now. It rolls up pretty
So we
quick.
need to segue into the next one, and I think we should pick up with... Because let's do some behind the curtain. Last night, we we were speaking because we were doing some recording for the Corner Flag Games channel, and as Terence has already said, he was asleep. I mean, surprise, surprise, he's always asleep. But why don't we bring up the Messi Ronaldo argument again? Simply because of T saying, you won't be remembered like Messi and Ronaldo.
Yeah,
who is arguably the best player in the world.
Yeah, we will bring this topic up, yes, but I'm limiting it to a 10-minute discussion.
Josh and I have already had this discussion last night on my channel, and I do believe you boys had this discussion in length as well last night.
Yep.
We did. Yeah. Are we all just agreed it's Ronaldo and we'll move on?
No. Thank you, Ben.
No, because I said last night, I'm split down the middle on the two. They're both two completely different players that bring two completely different things to their respective clubs and national teams. They've both gone about it in very different ways. So in my mind, as I've mentioned before, quite a logical person and a logical thinker, to me, the argument and the debate is invalid for the simple fact that you cannot compare the two that are so vastly different. So again, to finish my point, I'm on the fence.
And I agree. I think last night we came to the conclusion that they should never be compared to as to which of the two best. But people do. And a lot of people do. Mainly because they're probably the two biggest names.
That's the only reason why.
At the moment. But I know I'm a Ronaldo. I would say if you had to pick, I'd go Ronaldo.
As would I.
But I don't know. There's just something about it. Like, I mean, we touched on it last night. Ronaldo's all round better. Everything about him is better. Messi is club, and that's about it. He's done fuck all for Argentina. He's never really lifted any major trophies outside of club level. So you can't. I don't know. Yes, they should never be compared. But my final point on it will be, because we're going to wrap this up as quickly as we can. As I said last night in our big discussion, we should just all feel privileged that we've got to watch these players.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Growing up.
Yeah, yep.
Like, we're too young to have seen Pele play. We only get the clips that you see.
Yeah.
Now,
I imagine
you Eusebios. That was amazing. But we've got so much talent that we should be just honoured to have seen, whether it's on a TV screen or actually been to see them at a match. I mean, I'm lucky enough. I've seen Ronaldo play. I've seen him play the faithful Derby season where we broke all the fucking records, but the wrong records. Because I went to Old Trafford, I saw him decimate us at Old Trafford. And it was just I don't like the phrase one-man team. I really don't like it. But every time he got the ball, it was like, well, something's going to happen here. Every time he got the ball. When he came to Pride Park, he had, oh my God, I can't remember how many. He had so many efforts because they only beat us 1-0. But he must have had 6, 7, 8 shots before he finally scored. And it says a lot when his celebration was then he was counting on his fingers. That was his celebration. Like, fucking, this is how many it's taken. Now I've finally done it. It was, and that says a lot about his passion. You don't really see a lot of passion, I don't think, from Messi. But now I'm going off on another fucking tangent. But yeah, basically, TLDR, we should be honoured that we've seen them.
Yeah, agree.
That's my point.
Terence?
Yep. Well, I won't add anything to that because I think it's probably all have been touched on, but both once-in-a-lifetime players, and I think we all should feel blessed that we've been able to see 2 of them in one lifetime.
Yep, I agree. Josh, do you like to wager into this one?
Yeah, look, I have also seen Ronaldo play, and I believe I was lucky enough and fortunate enough to see him play at Sporting Lisbon when I was over in Portugal visiting family. So he was something special then. And, I was only, only about 5 years younger than him. So, I'd have been about 14, 13. Yeah, something like that. I've been about early teens. I would have been. So, I consider him to be biased, and with my Portuguese heritage, and go, there's no question of a doubt, Ronaldo is the best player in the world. Everyone's brought up perfect, points to it. They don't play in the same position. Friggin' one's done a lot more friggin' at club/country level. The other one hasn't. One's a one-man player, la-di-da. We could go on for ages. But I feel what makes Ronaldo, to me, better than Messi, I believe more so, not as a player, but as a man in general, is what he has given back outside of football. Personally, and only from what I really know of Ronaldo, what he's given back. I know he's given a lot back to his own town, back to his country, his grassroots football, which I know Messi has as well. I know they've both got their own academies. As David Beckham said, you're not famous unless you friggin' got your own perfume line. So Ronaldo's done that. So maybe we should be talking about Beckham in the same text. Maybe not, because he's a flog. But yeah,
always prefers goals over him.
Yeah, exactly right. But yeah, look, yeah. Personally, as I said, two brilliant, as Terence said, he summed it up probably the best. Two amazing players, amazing talent, and we should be all very lucky that we've both had to, as Dan and I have witnessed, actually physically seen Ronaldo play. We should be very grateful to see that. And look, 20 years time, boys, friggin' when we're sitting here in our, what are we now? Will we 50 odd? Yeah. There'll be a fucking another one. There'll be another two. There'll be friggin'.
Some of us will be 50.
Yeah, sorry, mate. We could be sitting here talking about the friggin' battle of the back line. Your Trent Alexander-Arnold's versus your friggin' whoever, some other new up and coming fullback or something. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Why are we only talking about the two attackers? You know what I mean? We paid Liverpool paid $85 million for Van Dijk. Does that make him the best fullback in the world? No.
No.
So, you know what I mean? And I'm a Liverpool fan, but I know Neymar is the richest player in the world. Does that make him the best player in the world? Absolutely not.
No, because his attitude's fucking disgusting.
Yep.
That's just greedy. The way the game is going at the moment is just getting beyond a friggin' joke. 3 years' time, we'll be paying fucking $300 million for a fucking player, which is just a joke.
Right. So now that we've finished on that, we'll move on from that. But you have brought up a very good point, which I feel it should be another discussion point today, and that is the rising costs and the stupidity of money that's thrown around in transfer windows and through player wages, and B, the pricing of tickets.
Yes.
And the cost of what it is to be a football fan / supporter in your respective countries' fields. And I think this is something that Josh and I think it might have been Josh and I and Dan and I spoke about the other week, comparing both the A-League season tickets when we compared them to Premier Leagues and other league teams from around the world.
Yes.
Well, I might wager into this one because Benny, that was you and I that were sitting there comparing.
That's right.
And yeah, I can understand that there's so much money now through TV rights that the league obviously has much more money, which then goes back into clubs, which means the clubs in turn have more money so they can spend more on players and things. But I don't then see how that can translate into being greedy and needing so much more money for season tickets and merchandising and all that sort of thing. It should be a thing where if the club is making so much money, tickets should be subsidised. Give back to the fan base, because without a fan base, there is no club in the world that would exist. Every club has to have fans to survive. And for clubs to be putting their tickets up so high that it is driving fans away seems absolutely fucking ludicrous. There was a point 2 years ago where Arsenal season tickets were so high. I'm an Arsenal fan, of course. And the season tickets got so high that fans started boycotting each game. They would simply not go, just in rebellion to how ridiculously priced the tickets were. And for the passion and the support for each club to be taken away by something so trivial and something that shouldn't actually even happen I think is just, it's stupid, and it will one day kill the game if clubs continue just to be this greedy.
Fair point. Very fair point. Does anybody else have share their thoughts on this subject?
Yeah, look, as I said, I think Ben and I have spoken about this plenty of times in the travels we've had going to the A-League and shit like that this season. And, yeah, as Terence was saying, it's something needs to be done about it. Right now in Australia, it's classed as the world as Australia's number one sport, rightly so. But it will only stay that way if ticket prices stay at a reasonable price for people to go. The moment you start jacking the prices up, the more friggin' the people are going to sit there and go, fuck that, why bother? Might as well just sit at home and watch it. Not paying anything to watch normal TV, or, I'm only paying $60 a month for Foxtel where I can get all my channels plus all my sport. I'll just watch it there. So, again, another topic that, as everyone will soon find out every week, we could be going on for nearly hours and hours just on the one topic, because that's the whole idea, I believe, of this podcast, is to talk about major topics where, the two heads could go back and forth for an hour and battle the case of, should they stay, should it go up, should it go down, this is right, this is wrong, la-di-da, whatever. So, yeah, look, as I said, I'll be short and sweet in it and go, let's just try and keep it at a steady. Well, it all comes down to the economy, I suppose. I don't know what Britain's economy is like compared to, say, the Australian. Yeah, well, that's it, same as Australia. But, if I go to work each week and take home friggin' $800, with that $800 in the week, I've then got to pay either rent or friggin' my rates, bills, fuel in the car, food on the table. Friggin', if you got kids and shit like that, nappies, baby, you add it all up, and then friggin' at the end of the day, you've then got to try and find $40, $50 to go watch a game, mate. It's not going to happen.
I suppose in that regard, this is where I feel that I'm quite lucky. Supporting a club in the Australian A-League where I'm not based, I'm classed as an interstate supporter. There are specific memberships which are offered to A-League supporters that are still able to support their club even though their club is interstate. And I think it worked it out. I have what's called a supporters membership, me and my partner. And they cost us something like, they direct debit us $9 a month or something like that. To be able to have that privilege. We're still putting in and we still get all the fancy things that come with it, like your membership packs and stuff. The only difference is that if we manage to find the time to go to a game, then we pay that cost, which, to be fair, is relatively inexpensive compared to other games in this country. And even considering the prices of, say an English game to go and watch, we're still relatively lucky in this country to be able to be afforded something like that. So it is a marketable prospect, and there is a membership out there for everyone.
Yeah, but I'm with you on that one. Just quickly, I'm with you on that one. No different. I'm a Derby fan. I'm also a Liverpool fan. Obviously, I can't be there, so I do buy my season memberships for Liverpool and Derby. Derby's is, I think it's £30, I believe, roughly, for the season. Again, it gives me fuck all. It pretty much gives me a scarf, a friggin' sticker. I think they send me a notepad and pen this season. Yippee. But you know what I mean? It's more of just a friggin' thank you for your gesture of 30, whatever it is over there, £30. So it's probably what, $60 or something.
Yeah, right.
Australian dollars. Thank you for your $60. Friggin', it gives me access to watch all the games on Derby TV and so forth. And again, same thing as Liverpool. That's a lot higher. I think it's about 75 quid. I think £75.
Yeah. And you guys are quite lucky. You guys are quite lucky in that regard. Whereas you look at my international team being in Birmingham City, And considering the league that they're in, being in the same league as Derby, you get that sort of membership prospect. International fans of Birmingham City get absolutely jack fuck all. We don't get that at all. It's, you want to support the club, you pay your fucking, 350 odd fucking pound season ticket. We don't care that you can't come to games.
Yeah, and it's quite unfortunate.
Very much so.
Now, to do once again put my 2 cents in, like I am fully in agreement with how overpriced things are, and it's been a running occurrence over here, especially for the last, I don't know, 3, 4, maybe even 5 seasons. Every year it always comes out. But if you may, I will be a slight devil's advocate here. You've got to look at it. If you look at it from the other side, you haven't got to look at it at all. I try not to. But if you do look at it from the other side, you've got these chairmen. They are running a business. To us, it's our football club. It's our passion. But to them, it's their business. A bonus if it is their passion as well. But it's a business. So, all good businesses, they're out to make money. And then you look at like the players and the players' wages, which are astronomical as well. And if you wanted to play devil's advocate on that, you'd have to turn around and go, well, they have got a short career, because they're not going to be on, unless you're a ridiculously talented player, you're not going to be on £100,000 a week.
Ronaldo and Messi.
From the age of 16. Yeah, but I don't even think they would have been. But I don't know. It's a very short career. You think, like, you break onto the scene, you don't really get. There are exceptional cases, but you don't really start getting first team experience or what's the word I'm looking for? This is where I get fail. Exposure. You don't get that sort of exposure until you sort of like early 20s, say, to be kind.
Yep.
And then your career is practically over once you hit 30 as a footballer.
Yeah.
For the most part, that's when you have to take the wage cuts. You have to get first team football, because they're constantly being replaced by the next generation of superstars, if you like.
Yeah.
So to just be in devil's advocate, I don't agree with the money around football, but it's business and it's a short career.
Mm-hmm.
You see how many? I mean, you only have to look back as far as from an England standpoint. We won the World Cup in '66. And then the players that won that World Cup, because money wasn't such a big thing revolving around football, they were having to sell their winners' medals. They were having to sell all the shirts they wore just to fucking get by.
Mm-hmm.
That's how fucking different it is. Like now,
there was no pathway back then.
Well, this is it. A smart footballer these days, they can play their 15-year career, retire, and never have to even worry about lifting a finger again, because they'll have invested smartly, or it's only the ones. Gazza's a good case study.
Gazza McShaffrey.
He's blown all that. No, Paul Gascoigne.
Yeah.
He's a good example, because he blew it all on alcohol and fucking drugs, and now he's fucking he's scrapping around for money all the time. But in his day, he was arguably one of the best players in the world.
Agree.
So it's a sad state to see a player become that, but that's what money does to you. You see a lot of them get into gambling trouble. And you see a lot of them have these tax evasion stuff go against them. And it's all down to money. Everything nowadays is money. Everything. It's such a big point.
Yep. And what you do with it.
Yeah. So your football clubs. I mean, when you're a big club, Liverpool, United, City, Arsenal. I don't really know the prices over in Spain, so I can't really speak for them. But from an English standpoint, they're going to be more expensive because they're a bigger club. That's literally the start and end of it. They're a big club; they can get away with doing it. I think for a season ticket at Derby, it's about 380 quid. So if you're going on doubles, that will be for the Aussies out there. That'll be about $760, which it's still it's a lot of money, but compared to sort of like some of the, I remember when Arsenal moved to the Emirates, I've got a good friend that lives down in North London, and he was going to get a season ticket because where they moved the Emirates to was actually closer to where he lived. So he was like, belting, let's get a season ticket. And he was looking at about £1,200, which is, 2,400 Aussie dollars. Yeah, it's fucking stupid money. Who's got that sort of money? For how many games? Because that only included the Premiership games.
Yeah.
So for 19 games, break that up, and the ticket prices are extortionate.
I suppose as well, when you're talking about it though, there's 38 rounds in a Premier League season, 37?
There is. 38, yep.
38 seasons. So you've got 26 in the A-League, and that's including the finals.
27.
I believe. 27, yeah. So you've got those extra games there as well. But I don't mean to plug, I don't like to plug other people, but, Optus Sports, I don't know what, you guys don't have that in England, but the Aussies out here, if you do get a chance to jump onto Optus Sports at the moment and jump on the Premier League, there is a section down there that they've been doing massive interviews with ex-players on where are they now sort of thing.
Yeah,
and there is some really good interviews on some of the players, some like, bloody Barthez, he's a rally car driver now, friggin'. There's a few others there that friggin', running their own mechanic shop, to friggin' running their own general store, to running their own clothesline. It's a good couple of fair few good interviews there, just to show you that, where some of them, what they've done with their money after, they're finished up.
Yeah, and I watched a few of those earlier ones with people like Thierry Henry and Robert Pires and Rio Ferdinand, and they've done them with heaps of players.
Yeah, they're the basic interviews, but just like proper interviews. But Optus Sports, I'm just trying to quickly bring this up now, which is friggin' easy. But you go down here and you go to somewhere like, what do we got here? David Squires.
Oh wow.
The football cartoonist. He now draws for one of the biggest friggin' cartoon companies in friggin' Britain. Friedel, what he's done after football. Vieira's life in the Big Apple, like where he went from obviously playing to friggin' obviously now coaching. And obviously all your other, so all these frigging names where you just go, I wonder what they are doing. Well, friggin' it's a pretty good read if you've got the time to do it. So,
and I'm that sort of person that will sit there and find one player like that and go, oh yeah, what are they doing with themselves? And I'll spend hours on Wikipedia jumping from player to player to player, just reading for hours on end about what other players have done with their careers and where they've gone from there, just because I'm interested in things like that. To make mention again of another one that I brought up last night that will have been forgotten, that was a fantastic player, is Dennis Bergkamp.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry,
yes.
absolutely.
I hope
fucking
he never
legend.
gets forgotten. Yes.
Well, to the mainstream, especially the young kids coming through now with your Ronaldos and your Messis, you mention a name like Dennis Bergkamp to them and they'll shrug their shoulders and go, who's that?
Yeah, which is disappointing because he absolute legend in his own right.
Oh, yeah. Then you've got players like him, and who else are we talking about? Ronaldinho, Roberto Carlos.
Yeah. Patrick Vieira for a point.
Yeah, Vieira.
We went a little bit into this last night as well, guys. So Terence, you missed out on that one, but that's it. All these old players that guys just kids these days, will have no idea of the amazing talent that there was. So,
and another one that I forgot to mention last night was Eusebio.
Yeah, quality player.
Yeah, that speaks volumes of the youth today, though, doesn't it? Like we're sort of probably. I'm not including all the youth. Again, there's exceptions for.
Of course.
Say the majority.
Let's not sandbox.
Yeah, I mean, but but I think the problem is they don't want to put. There's no effort anymore. Like we're the last generation that take football very seriously. It's it's another love to us. So
No.
we look back
Yucky.
and
See?
Hang on.
Dad duties.
Yeah, he's muted now.
taking over.
Sorry, guys.
But no, I think we're the last sort of generation of football fans that have ever been bothered to research and look, especially with our own clubs. I'd say more so than anything else.
Yep.
You go back and you look at the history. A lot of youth today, they're not bothered. They're all about their here and now, and I don't know. It's kind of sad to see because
very sad.
Football's got a great history. If you actually go back, it's stupendous history.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So why would you not want to embrace that? It's part of the game. It's what's made the game today.
It's why it's
watch
known
a
as
match
the world game.
Or you watch a game between, say, Leeds and Man United from the 70s, and then watch a game of Leeds versus United today. It does deserve its crown, where most people, mostly sort of rugby fans, I'd say as well, that turn around and say, "Oh, it's just a bunch of puffs kicking a bag of air," because that's what it has sort of become now. I mean, I could go off on a massive rant about diving because that's part of the game now, as far as I'm aware. You're taught not to, but it is. And I don't know if that's. I mean, I don't want to bring up VAR because that's probably a bit of a still of a sore point for Ben.
Very.
But the thing is, does it really work? Or have we've relied all these years on referees who, you have to try and fool them now because they're so militaristic in what they do. Has he touched him? Doesn't look like it. Oh, but he's rolling around on the floor. Must have caught him. You've got to. You see players that have been kicked and hacked and they've stayed on their feet. Should have been a penalty. They should have been about 4 penalties over. But because they tried to stay on their feet, that player then gets punished by then going down to the floor, nothing given. And It's like, well, that should have been a penalty. So you've got to. But I don't want to go too much into diving because I could literally go on about it for hours because it's just part of the game now. As sad as it is to have to see it, it is just part of the game now.
And I'm a big fan of we'll leave the VAR talk till we get a closer pod to say the World Cup where it's going to be implemented for everybody that comes into the World Cup. So nations that necessarily may not have come across it so far in their league systems will come across it.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be an eye opener for a lot of people.
Countries.
Yeah,
it's going to be a hell of a lot of eye opening done with that.
Oh yeah. So we shall move on to our next topic. Does anybody else have something that they want to discuss?
Well, I think you could have segued very beautifully there into the World Cup because it's it's coming up. We've got some plans that we've discussed between ourselves about it, haven't we?
We do.
And it's going to be it's every 4 years. It's the best summer of every 4 years is the best time. As an Englishman, watching England, it's always disappointing.
Let's see if you can get out the group stage this year.
Oh fucking hell! It's always the same. And again, I don't want to go into a rant about England because that in the setup that England have got in itself is infuriating.
I agree with you on that one. Because
there's better quality players in lower leagues that actually want it and want to play for the shirt and not for the cash. I'm not saying that. Well, no, I am saying that because you get that, and that's why I think again going back to what we were saying earlier with the youth players, you want them because they want to play for the country, they want to play for the shirt. You don't. You tend to lose a bit of that when you get to, and that's why How did Portugal win the Euros 2 years ago? Well, they wanted it. It's as simple as that. You can't win anything unless you want it.
And there are plenty of fantastic nations out there coming in this year's World Cup as well that, have strong pedigree, shall you say, player-wise. But
yeah,
think that.
Well, look at France.
that-
Look at the fucking
yeah.
players that they've had to leave out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even your smaller countries that, qualified on the skin of their teeth, referring mainly to Argentina here, that have got some of the best players in the world, but have absolutely no passion for the shirt and don't go anywhere.
Yep.
See, it's like anything though. You're smaller nations. So Iceland is probably a good example here.
Mm-hmm.
They have nothing to lose, so why not just go for it? Like, they're not expected to do anything. No one's ever, if you had a sweepstake and you drew out Iceland, you'd be like, well, I'm not winning this, because to be fair, they won't win the World Cup because they do lack the quality that is needed in the later stages.
Yeah,
but they can cause some upsets.
They will.
Australia can cause some upsets.
But at the same point as well, they're all players they're all players that are there because they want to be there. They will play for the shirt on their back.
Yeah, exactly.
And the Aussies are no different.
This is where the upsets happen. I mean, you look at cup football. You have a team for sometimes it can be in the FA Cup, especially over here. You can have a non-league team that gets to the round round 3, and they get drawn against Tottenham, and they can beat Tottenham because they've got nothing to lose, everything to gain and nothing to lose.
That's right. Whereas your bigger teams like your Tottenhams and that will generally throw out half a youth squad.
Yep, because they're just thinking, well, this is going to be a cakewalk.
Yeah,
the underestimation of teams is often a bigger team's downfall.
Yeah, and then and then later on in the stages when that team does, let's take Tottenham for instance, they play their youth squad and up until you round to 32 sort of stage, and then they start playing in their their first team, probably a couple of subs, and then when they get to their final and they win the final and they lift the trophy, and you sit there and think, well, I'm sorry, you as a player have not earned that because you haven't done the hard yards from the start to be able to have earned that trophy. That trophy should be lifted by those under 21s or those under 18s that fucking gave the skin on their back and played for that shirt to win that, to get you where you needed to be.
Exactly. But I say that's what I think we're going to see a lot of that in this World Cup as well this year, because just modern day football in itself is it's changing all the time. Mm-hmm. It's evolving, if you like. And I think we're going to see a lot of upsets this World Cup. I really truly believe we're going to see a lot of upsets. On paper, it's France's all the way, because can you actually think of a team that's got better quality in so much depth? I can't. No. I can't.
No way.
Even the Germans.
Not in
are
depth.
off the pace.
Not in depth, but in quality. They can be matched in quality, but nowhere near in their depth. Their quality in depth. I think me and Josh did some. Correct me if I'm wrong, Josh. We did some calculating a couple of months back, where we looked at some of the bigger teams like your Germanys and your Frances and your Belgiums and things like that, and we put them on comparatively of what we would believe would be the strongest Australian squad that would be fielded at the time of the World Cup. And we deduced that there are 3 completely separate starting 11s that France could run with enough quality to be able to decimate the strongest Australian national side that could be fielded at the time.
Easily.
3 completely different starting 11s with completely different players in those starting 11s. The quality in their depth is fucking... It's massive. It is massive.
Yeah. But you see, I think internationally, though, I think this is what happens. You get a team. Germany was the last team that had it. I think personally, they just had all this quality. Like you couldn't, they were leaving players out of tournaments that otherwise would have just waltzed into a team. If there had been any other nationality, they'd have been straight into that team.
Yeah,
but they were leaving them out. Now Germany have off the pace, and France have up there, and now you got the France national team that have got all this quality and all this talent. So they're going to probably dominate football for the next I don't know, say 8 years, 8 to 10 years,
Yeah.
they're going to dominate the international scene.
To a lesser extent.
Spain would. Well,
to a lesser extent, Belgium.
Well, I don't know. But Belgium,
Yeah.
I feel Belgium have gone off the pace. They had a really good sort of like 4 years. I'd say they had a really good 4 years, and they've done nothing with it.
I still think that Belgium's
They've
got
not-
at least another good 4 years in them. Okay, they might not have the amount of depth that France has got, but their starting 11 and subs and some of the players that they've left behind, case in point, Rajard Nainggolan. You know, of course, you've got your aging players like your Vincent Kompanies and things like that. And, you know, Eden Hazard's not a spring chicken anymore. But then on your off chance as well, you do have your youth prospects coming through, like Yuri Tillmans in the midfield. You've got your Romelu Lukaku's, they've got quality and depth, and they've got enough turnover. It's almost like this year is the point of their hybrid, where they've got their experience and they've got the chance to be able to blood some really good youth to be able to set them up again for the next 4 years.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I feel Belgium are another one of those nations where they don't seem to knit very well together at the big stages, at the big things.
Yeah, they're like England in that respect.
I mean, yeah, England. Yeah, to be fair, because England, you look at England, every qualifying rounds, you know, or through the 2 years between each tournament, they tend to just pretty much either win them all or they only lose one match, and they completely blitz the competition, and it's an easy qualification. If it's that easy, they should be able to emulate at least a hint of that at the big stage, but they never can. And I feel Belgium are another team that also just don't do it. They do it in qualifiers, but they can't do it on the big stage.
See, the way I look at England and to Belgium as well at a lesser extent, I'm a big proponent of football is a team game. And, yes, and they've got to work together. When I watch England play, and to a lesser extent when I watch Belgium play, you've got 11 different people on that pitch.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've got 11 leaders who all think that they're...
Not so much leaders.
they're there.
You've just got 11 individual players. And that's, how they run.
And that's where you were saying before that you're expecting a lot of upsets this year, is that's when you will get upset victories for teams that, you know, these teams that aren't expected to necessarily come in and dominate, or even, you know, knock off teams like your Belgiums, your Germanys, those teams that are still there but just off the pace a little bit. They're the sort of teams that if it does come to a game where they're playing against, for lack of a better word, a nobody nation, if you get what I mean, that they can really cause an upset, because they come in thinking, you know, we are Germany and we're playing against, you know, these nobodies. We're going to do this easily. So that's how you end up with 11 different players on the field, all playing for themselves, more or less.
Prime example of that situation would be in the last club championship, the FIFA World Club Championships, where New Zealand, who are very not known for their footballing prowess, nearly knocked off Mexico.
Yes.
And let's be fair, as Australians, we've always looked down upon our New Zealand counterparts when it comes to the round ball.
Yeah, because they're shocking. They're worse than us.
They are. They are absolutely dreadful. But at the same point, they absolutely smashed the OFC qualifying stages. They do now because they have the opportunity to, because Australia is now classed as part of the Asian Football Confederation. So they're doing what Australia did for so many years in the OFC. And Australia, you know, did it all those years in the OFC. We absolutely smashed it. But as part of the OFC qualification into the World Cup, you need to play the third place team out of the South American group. And that's where we always tripped up. You know, we're up against... We had to go up against your Uruguays, your Argentinas, your Brazils if they ever fell flat. Where even still, if a Brazil team, even say in 2006 or 2005 when we qualified for the first World Cup again for Germany in 2006, yeah, okay, that was our golden generation, and it's always referred to as Australia's golden generation. First time we hit a World Cup in, 60 years or 30 years or something. excuse me, 30 or 60 years, it was to that point where we actually qualified. Yeah, okay, we struggled even then to get past Uruguay over 2 legs, and we got through on the penalty shootout. But you look back at all those group stage games in the OFC region, we absolutely fucking completely dominated every side that ever come out there.
Yep.
But we'd always trip up. So you case in point, let's throw a bit of devil's advocate here and go, let's say Brazil were a bit off the pace in the way that, say, Germany are now, or your Belgiums are now. They off the pace, they finished third in their qualifiers. So they've got to play the first place qualifier out of the OFC region. Let's take it was Australia.
Which you would assume is New Zealand.
No, let's go Australia in this point, right? Let's go back to 2005.
Okay, yeah, I'm with you now.
Our golden generation, arguably the best generation of Australian national team footballers that have rocked up. I still think that an off-the-pace Brazil would absolutely decimate the golden generation of Australian football.
Absolutely, it would, without a doubt.
But again, Australia go into those games, into those qualifiers, and they always did with nothing to lose. Hence the upset in 2005 against Uruguay.
That's how we qualified for the World Cup as underdogs. We played against the Uruguay, who thought they would come in and do it easy.
Mm-hmm. They were 1-0 up over the first leg.
I can say that's it does come down to what I was saying about there's going to be a lot of upsets. Just on that, it's not very often you have a tournament go by and see all the teams that are favoured to get to the last 4. If you was to pick the last 4, I'd say probably every time in every tournament there has never been those 4 teams in the last 4.
No, never.
There's always been that one team, and it's heartbreaking to see them. Was it Wales, I think, in the Euros?
Yeah.
It then becomes heartbreaking to see them lose because they've got such a following of not just their own nation. They've got all the other nations that have been knocked out or not qualified that are rooting for them.
Yeah, it's human nature, mate. Everybody loves an underdog.
Exactly. And I think there's going to be some really good underdog stories this year.
Oh, yeah. Plenty
go back to 2002 World Cup. Like Senegal, what have they done since? But bloody hell, did they give it their best at that World Cup?
Oh, yeah. They come very close that year.
But again, what they'd done nothing since. It was just an underdogs. It was a perfect sort of fairy tale for them.
Yeah. Nigeria in the 90s.
Nigeria in the 90s, exactly. That's another great point. But I think there's going to be one this year, and I'd personally, I'd like to see it be Iceland. I'd like to see them do what they did at the Euros and get quite far.
Josh, do you have any thoughts or opinions on this? Josh, thoughts, opinions?
Look, I could go on for ages and freaking,
It's just we hadn't heard from you for a while, mate.
I was just sort of letting you go and so forth. I found it funny that a Brit and obviously British heritage going at it over Belgium, one backing them, the other one dishing them, and he's got them in the group. I just one going, no, they're fucking done. Fuck that. We need to beat these pricks in the World Cup. And the other one's going, they're fantastic. Freaking, they're going to be going on for 8 years. La la. Bang. The whole idea is to beat them in the group. Not praise them.
I understand that. I understand that, but it would be a very scrappy match because it's going to be 22 players.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it only takes one to step up.
Yeah, look, as I said,
it's not going to be any English player.
It's, I suppose, at the end of the day, no different to France. Bloody, what was I going to say about France? What Ben was saying about what we were talking about, the depth and everything else. I believe Terence and I also touched on that yesterday in his channel. As I'm hoping Portugal I see it being a Portugal-France final. That's what I want.
Do you think Portugal will get that far?
Yeah, look.
Be careful what you say. We'll save this for our World Cup prediction pod. Hashtag spoilers.
Yeah, no, look, as I said, we can go back and go for, Ronaldo carries them and La-di-da and all this sort of stuff. I think Portugal, if they're going to, for a team that's sitting third in the world, and obviously, European champions, etc. It's their time. We've missed out plenty of times with our usual dreadful streak of getting to the round of 16 and then getting knocked out. It's about fucking time. And I think we've got the squad, not depth, as in we can produce 4 teams, but the team that we can produce on the day is by far, I feel, enough quality to beat any other team on any given day.
Yeah.
The quality of our players at the moment is pretty good, and again, as I said, we won't go into too much into it because we'll deal with this shit, the World Cup. But I'd like to see Portugal there in the final. That'd be fantastic. But yeah,
another topic I'd like to touch on in today's episode, now that Josh has just brought it to the forefront of my mind, and considering that our World Cup pod will be a little bit more in depth into other things, so it's probably going to get lost in translation for that. Thoughts on, my personal thought, FIFA World Rankings mean shit.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, they mean absolutely dick.
Another fucking list, isn't it?
It's a list.
There's absolutely nothing to go by. It's a list that people put together based on things that have happened in the past, and especially going into a massive world tournament like the World Cup, it is no indicator of how a nation is going. Stuff like they're a good idea going into a tournament like that if you want roughly how they'll stack up on paper, but when you come to game day, that all goes out the window.
You know what they say, mate? Games aren't played on paper.
Exactly right.
It's more. I think it's more to aid the bookies, isn't it? More than anything. Let's be honest.
Yeah, let's be fair.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Anybody else with any more topics?
I think we should save some for next week. To be fair, I think we've covered enough and we've spouted enough shit today.
I think we have.
Yeah, that's it. I don't think we need to have a one episode series. To have a series, we need to talk about shit, and if we talk about it all in one episode, I think my child's going to explode and my wife's going to kill me. So
as long as Josh doesn't have to do any more intros, I think we're fine to keep going on more episodes.
Well, I think
mate.
Josh needs to do his wrap up outro and all the things like the Discord plug. And the social networking stuff.
Yeah, no worries.
Do
Do
you
want me to write your script again?
Is it worth saying as well, though, to all the listeners, sort of like if there's any questions you want us to discuss, any topics you wanted to discuss, that was easy for me to say, want it back. Make sure you just leave a comment, or as Ben has said, join the Discord. And then answer there, and then if we like what we hear, which is probably more unlikely that we will discuss it in a future podcast.
Yeah, I think the best.
If you want to get to know us, ask questions to us.
I think the best plan of attack for the podcast for asking those sort of questions would be to post them on the the Lads Entertainment Network Twitter, and on the LEN website. And on the comments, obviously, of this video or podcast, wherever we decide to upload this.
Yeah. Or our individual Twitters, if you've got anything personal to say about the others. We like that stuff.
Yeah, just hashtag LENcast.
We can always bring those up.
So exactly, hashtag LENcast, absolutely.
And the Twitter can be found at Lads Network. The website is Benny.
The website will be on screen and in the description below.
Perfect.
But what about the listeners?
The listeners, okay.
I can't see it.
Bear with me. The listeners might not be able to see it, but let me just pull up.
I think it is www.lennetwork.wordpress.com.
Yeah, that's correct.
That sounds about that.
LEN.
Look at me go.
Yeah, LEN network.wordpress.com.
I'm so
That's
glad
where
you
you can
guys gave me
find-
shit.
Mate, it's your outro and we're all doing it for you.
Mate, it's not my outro. It's a lads entertainment network. It's not an individual network. Help is needed when called upon. I called upon it.
Also, as well,
I think
I'd
we've
just
just
like
touched
to
on this.
going into some general business. Well, semi-general business, because we'll close with some general business. I'd just like to, as a content creator and a person myself, Ben from Corner Flag Games, would like to wish Josh an official welcome to the world of content creation, and an official thank you to him for creating and starting his very own YouTube channel.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. We'll try not to let you down. There will be mistakes.
Well,
there will be fuck-ups.
Too late.
I dare say that's where I'll get most of my viewers and most of my friggin' subscribers from, just watching me fuck up each week. So, if you enjoy watching a bloke put content together and fucking it up each week, I'm your bloke. So
we all had the
Crossbar
teething
Capers
problems.
will, yeah, absolutely. That's it. Just Crossbar Capers is your go-to man. Trust me. Fuck ups are a given.
He's now found his official tagline too.
Yes.
Fuck ups are a given.
That's it. I'll try and sneak that in there somewhere.
Anybody else with any general business?
No, not really. Just make sure everyone if you enjoyed this, go check out all our individual stuff. We do still do a lot of collabs on YouTube with videos as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've enjoyed this, you're bound to enjoy that too.
Very
Absolutely.
much so.
That was a nice sneaky banter in there as well.
We're all about the banter.
There's always banter when we are together.
It
sort of sounded like bound to, but it was banter. I heard.
Like I said,
sorry.
To be fair, I think we've got to the state. This has probably been the longest period of time we've all been talking together and not thrown insults every 30 seconds at each other. I think we should all be proud of ourselves for that.
Yeah, pat on the back
Now,
for everyone.
That's an interesting point because I just checked. We've been on the phone to each other for about 3.5 hours now, and the level of banter is very low for us. So I think we've done very well. We've kept it together for what is, of course, an official first episode. So I think we all deserve a big pat on the back and a 6-pack of beers.
Agreed. I'm about to crack a jack.
Hell yeah.
You crack a jack. I'm about to crack a little bottle of Nobby's Creek. So let's get this party rocking.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Yeah, not sponsored at all. We seem to have lost to Josh though.
Available.
Yeah, Josh has already gone. He's practicing his intro for next week.
Alrighty. So who would like to do the official sign off for the first time then?
Alrighty.
Well, guys.
Here we go. Go for it.
Baby scissors rock.
There was a really long pause. So I was like, "Oh, go on then." Guys, thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it all. Don't forget, there's the Discord. If you're watching, you'll see links on the screen and in the description below. If you're listening, go watch it. There's the official Len Twitter at Lads Network. Wait, what?
Yeah, Lads Network.
Hold on. Yeah, that was it. Teething problems, folks. Teething problems. We've all got our individual Twitters that you can probably just find going through Lads Network. And until next week, you stay classy, San Diego.
See you guys.
See you guys.